Okay, so it's just after 2 o'clock, and that was the start time. And so far we have 19 participants. So I'm going to begin by saying good afternoon and welcome to Noise Barriers. I'd like to thank you for joining this webinar concerning our QuietLine sound barrier system. My name is Steve Mitchell. I'm the founder of Noise Barriers. I'll be your host for this presentation that I hope you'll find informative. To begin with, I'd like to give you an idea of why we believe Noise Barriers is the right barrier system for your application. Noise Barriers' in-house design capability, coupled with low-cost professional engineering services that are familiar with our product, allow us to not only accurately and quickly bid projects, but also to prepare submittals, shop releases at minimal cost, and do it quickly. We've got the capability and desire to assist any consultant, architect, construction manager, or owner on any size barrier project anywhere in the country, either ground-mounted or roof-mounted. Our scope of work on barrier walls usually includes the barrier approval and installation drawings, as I mentioned earlier. We include calculations PE stamped by a professional engineer registered in the state where the project's going. We'll do the structural steel frame, supply the barrier panels, doors if there are any, quiet louvers if ventilation is required, and quiet proof absorption panels if we need to put some sound control in the host building. And we offer complete installation. Noise Barriers provides total turnkey capability, and we'd like to help you with your project. Now, we prefer to supply steel columns or other framework on both ground and roof-mounted barriers, but sometimes others supply the steel. In that case, we're happy to assist with the design and interface of our panel system with the steel framework supplied by others, so don't hesitate to ask. On roof-mounted barriers, please be open-minded, as there are many ways to execute the structural steel framework. You should always use the best panel for the job by matching the performance we can provide with the appearance. So don't force the wrong panel in the wrong application. We've got many panels and variations to choose from, but please call us to provide design assistance. Our barrier wall products are called QuietLine. Noise Barriers offers multiple panel designs to choose from. We offer a shiplap design, which we call SL. We offer the shiplap with a reveal, which we call the SLR. We have a shiplap reveal panel. That's a concealer, is what we're calling it, and you'll see more about that later on. We offer a V-stack panel. We offer our quiet mod panel with both skins hard, hence the hard designation. And we offer the quiet mod HP panel, which is hard on one side, perforated on another. The purpose of this webinar is to introduce you to two unique barrier panel systems, V-stack panels and our SLR concealer. We're going to start with the V-stack panel system today. When we started Noise Barriers in 2003, we only had one panel designed to offer. It's 2 feet high and limited 12 foot in length. That's still the standard panel size for many other companies. We quickly saw the need for larger panels, both in height and length, to help lower the overall cost of barrier projects. We also saw the need to improve on the panel-to-panel interface. The result was our V-stack panel design, which is by far our most popular and most competitive panel. Let's take a look at it. The V-stack panel is designed to slip between the flanges of the column and create a barrier wall. The panels can be 4 or 5 inches thick. They can be any height up to 58.5 inches high, which is the highest in the industry. They can be up to 16 feet long, which is the longest panel in the industry. The panel-to-panel interface is a very thin butt joint that you can see in this photograph. No fasteners are required to secure the panel to another panel or to secure the panels to the support steel. This wall section shows the panel, the V-stack panel. You can see that it's acoustic fill sandwiched between a 16 gauge solid sheet of steel and a 22 gauge perforated face. The panel-to-panel interface is accomplished with 2 inverted roll-form V's that nest the joining panels together without the need for fasteners. This creates that very thin horizontal butt joint between the panels. This drawing shows a couple of different ways that we can install these panels into the structural steel columns. On the left, you see panels fit snugly between the flanges. On the right, you see that they're using a larger column, which is a wide flange beam. And to create the slot for the panels to fit into, we either bolt or weld 3x3 1/4-inch angle to the web of the column, creating the necessary slot. A third option for installing the walls is to do them vertically by resting on the panels on a support shelf angle connected to the columns. For example, if 2 columns are used on in the design of the building. This is seldom used. We want you to be aware of it, and it's an option for some projects. This detail is to show you how we accomplish the corner when 2 walls intersect or create a perpendicular condition. On the left, we see just the panel-to-panel connection into the column. The detail on the right shows that we've added angle to the back face of the flange of the column in the corner, and that creates the slots for the panels to go for the perpendicular wall. Now, we can accomplish the same kind of a detail or similar detail with either acute or obtuse angles. So whatever the site conditions called for, we can have that barrier wall turn corners. Here's 2 examples of the V-stack. On the left is a 30-foot by 40-foot by 20-foot high barrier that was constructed around a couple of emergency generators. You see in the background, those are patient rooms at a hospital. This is at a VA hospital. And across the street, about 150 feet away from this, are local residences. So this enclosure was very necessary to contain the noise because they run these generators 24/7. What I want you to look at in this photograph, though, is you can clearly see the butt joint where the panels are, the vertical butt joint where the panels join together. You can also see how the corner detail is handled. You can also notice the panel into the wide flange beam column. The column is noticeable, it's painted to match, but it's still there. And also, nice feature, this one has a personnel door on it. The photograph on the right is at an activity center down in Chicago. You can see that this barrier was built to protect the residents right behind the barrier wall from the mechanical equipment that's going to go up here where all these white boxes are. This is a 24-foot by, I think it's 150 feet L-shaped wall, 12 feet high. This is an advantage that we have with this V-stack panel, is that we can get these long spans and high panels so we can minimize the number of panels. In some applications, architects have asked us to include cladding on top of our barrier wall instead of finish painting it. V-stack system is excellent for this application because we can use just an unpainted galvanized panel that's oversized, which again brings down the square foot cost. You see here how we attach the cladding to the face of the panel. And on the right, you notice the completed barrier wall. On this particular project, which is at a university in Chicago, I think there are 6 walls, and all have this cladding on it. And the rest of the building, you can actually see to the right, just above the beige building, you can see the building has the same cladding on it. So we were able to maintain the aesthetic look for this building. As an interesting side note, please look closely at that green surface. That is actually a wildflower garden on the rooftop of this building. This is part of the City of Chicago Green Initiative that they're doing on rooftop buildings. So we've done barriers quite a few times where we end up seeing grass or other plantings around our barrier walls. Nice detail. Typical uses for this V-stack panel are in applications where aesthetics are not as critical. The V-stack provides a lower square foot cost barrier than other designs. It's excellent in applications that require long walls, The 16-foot length requires fewer columns, there's fewer foundation piers, fewer panels to install, all factors that reduce labor time and overall project costs. I'm going to show you some example drawings later in this presentation that'll demonstrate this very clearly. In applications for higher walls, the 20-foot high and higher, for example, the available 5-foot panel height results again in fewer panel-to-panel installation vertically, resulting in a lower overall cost. After our success with the V-stack, we listened to what architects were asking for. Architects wanted a more linear piering wall to match their design of their building. Our first effort was our SL, or shiplap panel. And we're glad we listened to what our customers wanted, because this panel became very popular with architects. Then some architects asked us to develop a linear panel with a reveal. So shortly thereafter, we introduced our SL-R panel, which is a shiplap with a reveal. This was also a very successful panel. Glad we listened again. Wasn't long before architects then asked if we could develop a panel that could seal the support steel. The SLR concealer panel was developed based on these requests, and this is a unique and attractive panel. By the way, if you take nothing away from this presentation, please remember, Noise Barriers listens to what our customers want. We're flexible, and we want to help you achieve your design goals while meeting the acoustic performance requirements of the project. So here's a concealer panel. Concealer panels are designed to conceal the columns by sliding over the column flange rather than behind it. Panels are typically 5 inches thick. The panels are 24 inches high. They also can be 16 feet long. The panel-to-panel interface, both horizontally and vertically, is a 1-inch reveal. Again, no fasteners are required to secure panel to panel, nor to secure the panels to the support steel. This section shows the SLR panel from the side. You see that the same type of construction, that is a solid skin and a perforated skin encapsulating acoustic fill sandwich between it. Only in this case, there's a reveal. Typically, we provide a 1-inch reveal. You see that halfway up the panel where the panels meet. We can go a little bit deeper on that, or we can make it shallower on projects that require it. We put this detail in so you can see how we accomplish this slot. If you look right in the middle of this drawing, you'll see the 3/4 inch wide by 2-inch deep notch. That's what slides down over the flange. So it goes the height of the panel. Next to it, you can see a 3/4 inch wide by 3-inch deep notch in the SL panel channel for lifting. We'll show you that the purpose of that later in this presentation, so try to remember it. Here are a couple of methods for attaching the concealer panel to the front flange of the column. In option 1, this was done with the typical structural steel detail. The panel just slides from the top down and hides the structural steel, creates a 1-inch reveal. Option 2, somebody might say, why would you do that? This is on a project where they actually wanted the panel to hang out over and be proud of the building roof. So additional steel, creating a flange for us to slide the panel onto, was added to the face of that flange. Another advantage of this concealer panels is we can manufacture pre-formed corners. We can go up to 24 inches by 24 inches, and this detail shows how we accomplish that. The panel comes to you fully assembled in this corner detail. All right, so here's what the concealer barrier wall looks like. Please notice the uniform reveal both horizontally and vertically. This is a detail where remember that one option where the panel is kind of hanging out over the roof a little bit? That detail was used here. You can clearly see the preformed corners and how clean those look. You also can see that with the concealer panel on the far left side of this photograph, you can see a personnel door for access to the mechanical equipment. So what's really the difference between the concealer panel and the standard panel? Take a look at these two photographs. Again, the one on the right is the photo you just saw. Again, notice the clean lines, the uniform reveal, the preformed corner. The panel on the left is the old original way of doing an enclosure or a barrier on a roof, where you're between the front and back flange of the column. You also can see the corner detail is that exposed wide flange steel. In this case, the architect didn't even want the barrier columns to be painted to match, but still you would not have as an attractive detail as you do with the concealer panel on the right. Here's one more detail of the concealer panel. What I'd like to take a look at again is the uniform reveal. The barrier is obviously the black area in the center in the left photograph with the horizontal line, and you see that we were able to match the aesthetics of the building with the horizontal line to achieve a look that the architect was trying to get. The typical uses for the concealer panel design are applications where aesthetics are critical because we can match the reveal of the building design. It looks more like part of the building that was intended as opposed to just a barrier around equipment. It conceals a structural support system, so it's a much nicer look. The preformed corner panels provide a nice finishing detail. Concealer is also excellent for application for weights of factory because this panel can be constructed using lower weight aluminum when the barrier weight is critical. It's excellent for walls that will be exposed to the salty air near the ocean using the aluminum. They provide a much cleaner appearance than other panels, and in applications for long walls, again, the capability for a 16-foot long panel requires fewer columns, fewer foundation piers, fewer panels to install, all factors that reduce labor time, and overall project costs. Both of these panels have very similar acoustic performance. The V-Stack has an STC of 38, while the concealer panel is of 37. They both have a noise reduction coefficient of 0.95. So both panels are as good as they come for barrier walls. Noise barriers was started by former representatives of other noise control firms. We learned from experience how difficult noise control products can be to install because of their weight, bulky, and difficult locations. So we dedicated ourselves at Noise Barriers to designing methods for making product installation safer and faster. And we've done that with our barrier walls. Our V-Stack, SL, SLR, and concealer panels all include a slot on the top edge of both ends of every panel. You saw that earlier on the concealer detail. So the panels arrive on site in a crate, resting on their narrow edge, which you can see on the left photograph, the left circular photograph here. One laborer simply inserts the lifting hook into the slot at each end of the panel, lifts it out of the crate, slides it down the column within the slot, as we discussed earlier, or in the case of the concealer panel, the panel just slides over the flange. Once that panel is seated, the hooks are removed, the next panel is hoisted and set in place. Without this lifting slot, the way we used to do it, and other companies still do it, it's necessary to have two laborers on the ground to lift the panel out of the crate, wrap a sling around it to lift it. Two more laborers are then needed to guide the panel to the column. The panel then needs to be blocked up so the sling can be removed and the panel dropped into place. This is very dangerous. You can get a hand or finger caught in that very easily. It's very difficult to remove that sling and drop it into place. It's also very time consuming. The Noise Barriers lifting slot design decreases the number of workers required to install panels, and it decreases the installation time for each panel quite a bit. We put together a video we'd like you to take a look at. It takes about a minute and a half, if I can get it to work. There we go.
Introducing QuietLine V-Stack Barrier Walls by Noise Barriers. An easier, safer way to install noise barrier walls. Please review the installation packet in the crate and consult the install documentation for a list of tools needed. Columns are set in place and fastened to existing or precast anchor bolts. When the V-Stack crate arrives at the job site, it is placed on level ground and braced so it won't tip over as load becomes unbalanced. Before removing the first panel, clamp the remaining panels together to prevent them from falling over. The V-Stack panels feature built-in slots for easy lifting and are designed to be lifted directly out of the crate. While competing systems require 2 workers to lift, temporarily support, and install straps for lifting. The panel is lifted and guided between the columns, coming to rest on the base plate. The hooks are then simply removed to complete the panel installation. Other systems require 2 workers to perform the tedious and slow process of temporarily supporting, unstrapping, and then placing panels. V-Stack installation requires no fasteners. There is no time wasted supporting, strapping, and unstrapping panels. Simply unhook and stack. To build better, smarter noise barrier walls, visit us online at noisebarriers.com.
One more note on that installation technique. When you're installing these heavy panels, you have to use a crane almost in every application. Cranes are very expensive. We can install panels so quickly that not only is your labor time reduced, but so is the amount of time that you have expensive equipment on site. And there's always a battle to get that moved as quickly as possible. Both these barrier walls are available for use on either ground-mounted or rooftop applications. The barrier on the right is at the Michigan State University at a mechanical room. Penn State University. That barrier is 500 feet long and it's 30 feet tall. Those are aluminum panels, so that lightweight really benefited the design of this particular installation. And then the beige panels in front of it are just add-on to soften the harsh lines. So I think a very nice looking detail. Typical features for the V-Stack and concealer panels is that both are constructed using 16 gauge solid skin, 22 gauge perforated skin. We can do heavier gauges if necessary. Standard material we use is G90 galvanized. We can use A60 galvanneal, stainless steel, or aluminum if required for both panel types. Panels are over 48 inches high. This would be the V-Stack, include additional internal stiffeners to accommodate the high wind load. And again, no fasteners are required with either panel system to secure panel to panel or panel to support steel. Some other wall manufacturers require fasteners every 12 inches along the panel to panel joints. This is not only expensive to install, but unsightly as well. On all our barrier walls, they may or may not have to have a top cap as a design feature required by the architect, and we can supply that. All of our barrier panels include weep holes along the bottom edge for water runoff. Some barrier walls may require a personnel single leaf door or an equipment axe double leaf door. We can include those. Some barriers may require louvers for airflow at the base of the wall. We can provide our quiet louvers in those applications. Some barriers are tied into a host building wall. That building wall may require sound absorption panels to prevent sound reflection. We can include quiet perf absorption panels in our project. And finally, acoustic fill is generally not encapsulated because it naturally sheds water. But in applications where bag fill is required, we provide that feature as well. So in summary, Noise Barriers offers turnkey capabilities: design, PE stamp, structural framework, barrier panels, doors, absorption panels if necessary, and installation services. We listen and we're flexible. We have 6 different panel configurations to meet architectural or acoustic performance needs. We can use steel or lightweight aluminum panels. We have the longest and tallest individual panel sizes available, which reduces material, steel, and labor costs. The concealer panel system conceals the support steel and has preformed corner panels for clean appearance. We've developed a fast and very safe method of installing panels. A durable powder paint finish in any standard RAL color is available, and we can custom match colors if necessary. And we offer the longest warranty in the industry with 5 years for materials and 10 years for finish against peeling and cracking. Remember, I said I wanted to show you the difference between a 2-foot panel and a 5-foot panel. So real quickly, this first drawing shows a barrier wall 48 feet long, 20 feet high. With a 2-foot high by 12-foot panel, there's 10 per bay, 40 panels total. There's 4 bays of panels requiring 5 columns and concrete piers. Compare that to this. Here's the V-Stack. We can accomplish the same thing with 12 panels and 4 columns. The material on material costs is probably very similar because it's the same amount of steel and insulation and everything. but there's less labor cost for us to build a panel. It takes almost as much labor to build a small panel as a large panel. But the big savings are out in the installation, in the field, where the crew can get in and out much quicker, and there's many fewer parts to work with. If you need any literature, we have new literature that is designed for the architectural and industrial market, such as this. We've also developed a piece of literature specifically for the power and electric industry. We've got another piece of literature that's geared to the transportation industry, so that's available as well. So if you have any more questions, please write down this email address, marketing@noisebarriers.com. If you have questions about VStack and concealer panels, please use this email to contact us. If you want to receive sample specifications, AutoCAD drawings, or budget pricing, or if you need any information on any noise barrier products, please contact us at marketing@noisebarriers.com. And if you'd like a sales representative to assist you, this is the way to get a hold of one, and somebody will promptly call you. Thank you very much for attending this webinar concerning our VStack and concrete barrier panels by Noise Barriers. We know your time is very valuable, and we appreciate you spending a few minutes of your time with us. Thank you, and I'm headed to Disney World.